Welcome to Optus Stadium here in Perth. The Lions have just come out for what they call the captain's run. We basically get to film for 10 minutes or so whilst they go through a few drills. I can't imagine they're going to be doing too much, but that's all going to be happening in the background. And this is where tomorrow they're going to be taking on the Western Force, their first game on Aussie soil. Let me flip this round and kind of show you. So it's about a 60,000 capacity stadium. They're expecting it to be 45,000 about in the house, which on the one hand it's a lot of empty seats, and then on the other actually the Western Force's average attendance I think in Super Rugby I think is about 8,000. Either way, not a huge kind of average attendance, and this is, I believe, someone from Rugby Australia told me earlier that it is going to be a record crowd for a Western Force game. So looking forward to it. We had the team news yesterday. You can go and see my video on that, or I spoke about the amount of changes, Dan Sheehan as captain, a heavy Irish contingent in this team. And I just thought I'd speak through a few other things that have come to mind over the last couple of days about the Lions and about this Lions team. And I suppose there's two things that I didn't mention in that video yesterday, which is positions which are maybe just a little bit light, or certainly to keep an eye on in terms of personnel. And I think they're obvious. I think it's fullback and I think it's number 8. So for this game, Henry Pollock is going to be starting at number 8. We have seen him play there. He also plays across the back row. And likewise, we saw Ben Earl do the same in the game against Argentina. You've got Jack Conan on the bench. He's still only really the only out-and-out number 8 in this team. Is that going to be a position which is a bit of a pinch point for the Lions? I mean, Earl plays number 8 internationally for England and has had his best England performances in that position. Pollock has been excellent at number 8 as well, but I just wonder whether, when you look at just the out-and-out number 8 and just having Jack Conan there, that could continue to be something that the Lions look at. Outside of that, it's then fullback. So we saw Marcus Smith play against Argentina. We have got Elliot Daly playing there this weekend. Hugo Keenan isn't yet available, he's injured, but we expect him to be available against the Reds midweek in Brisbane, so that's good news. And then Blair Kinghorn isn't part of the squad yet. He's got the top 14 final this weekend. His plan, I think, is to fly Sunday, arrive in Australia Monday, so then we could see him face the Waratahs. But again, fullback is another position, particularly if Keenan isn't 100% fit. Do they want a different option in that area? In which case, I suppose it would then be, who would they call up? I find it actually kind of interesting that we've got to this point in the tour, and it's early days, I know, but we still haven't had anyone called up. You remember back to South Africa in 2021, and the Lions had already had to call up players. Alan Wynne had gone down injured, so yeah, keep an eye on fullback. Who would they call up at fullback, do you think, if they had to? And at the moment, it doesn't necessarily look like they're going to. You've got Hugo Keenan, it seems like he's okay. Plus, you've got the options of Daly and Marcus Smith, and Mac Hansen has played 15 before. So you've definitely got pieces you could move around. I just wonder whether you might go for a Freddie Stewart because of what he does in the air. I wonder whether a Blair Murray? What a call up that would be. I really like Blair Murray. I thought he had an excellent Six Nations. Maybe a little bit too early, but would give you a kind of pace and zip in the back three. So I don't know. Those are two positions that for me that I'm keeping an eye on. Let me know what yours would be. All right, tomorrow night and tomorrow evening, there's going to be plenty of Lions fans and Western Force fans walking along this bridge. Absolutely beautiful down by the river as I leave Optus. So, update from the Lions. Nothing major really. Everyone seems to have pulled through training. The only one is Mac Hansen. John Fogarty, the scrum coach, said they pulled him, but it's just load management and he's fine and he's good to go tomorrow. I wonder whether it's one of those ones that because he played against Argentina, that when it comes to a captain's run or something that you just manage his load a little bit. So it seems like he is okay, although he didn't properly go through the captain's run today here in Perth. So, I spoke about the Lions and some of the questions and positions that I'm keeping an eye on from their point of view. I had a few comments on the video I did yesterday, which was about the Lions team news, that I didn't mention the Western Force. So I suppose part of the reason that I didn't do too much of a mention of the Western Force is my knowledge of them just isn't as good. And they are in a position, when you think about this game, that the Super Rugby season ended They then had weeks off. They then come in to build up to a one-off game. And I know it's a huge deal for them. And going and speaking to them in the last week or so, you know, you get the feel that this is an opportunity that comes around once every 12 years. But it does make it a challenging match to prepare for in some ways, because you've got some guys that have left. You've got some players that have gone and been part of the Wallabies camp and others that haven't. Some players that have come in almost just for this one-off match. So in that sense, they're quite a hard team to predict, and I'd imagine it's been quite a challenge for them to do their own preparations because of everything I just mentioned, but then also because they're playing a Lions team that has 13 changes from the last game, a team that, okay, they could watch the Argentina game, they could look at Ireland and think it's going to have a pretty Irish feel to the way in which they play, but quite a difficult team to prepare for in how the Lions are going to approach the game as well. So I think that's why it's a bit difficult to say too much on them. It's a shame that Kurtley Beale isn't available. He has a slight hamstring injury. We're expecting this to be his swan song. Not too bad. He'd hopefully be available for the First Nations and Pacifica 15 in a couple of weeks' time, but it was too soon to risk him for this game. And looking at the force in Super Rugby, they were going quite good halfway through the season, and then they lost their last, 4 or 5 fixtures, and ended up finishing 9th out of 11. And one thing that when you do look at their results at least, is they do tend to ship points. I think they have the ability to score them, and I wonder whether they'll cause the Lions some issues in that regard. But they do tend to ship points. So I think the Lions will be aiming for a big score like we've seen them have kind of the last, pretty much every time they play in Western Australia. It's generally a pretty one-sided game. So I think the Western Force have quality there. Like you look at Ben Donaldson that's come in, Nick Champion Day Crepigny, who I spoke to at the start of the week, who has been called up to the Wallabies squad in the back row. Nick White, obviously experienced scrum half that we know well from his time with Exeter. So they've got real pockets of quality across that team. But I don't fully know what they're going to look like because of the other factors that I mentioned. Their fly half's pretty inexperienced. Speaking to media over here, even they don't know too much about him. So the Western Force are a little bit of an unknown. But what you would say is that Lions team is stacked, as you would expect it to be. And you would expect them to have enough to be able to get a victory, get the tour up and running, and do it in pretty comprehensive fashion. So let me know anything I've touched upon, whether it be Lions or the Western Force. And tomorrow, you see it in the background there, that is where I will be for TalkSport for the Lions against the Western Force. Cannot wait for it. Been building up to it for the last week and a half. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. And I should also say, if you're enjoying the content from here in Australia, I would absolutely love it if you subscribe. It's honestly ridiculous to have the opportunity to be out here to do it, so I'm loving it. Hopefully you guys are as well. So do subscribe, like the video as well, and drop a comment down below. And I suddenly realised actually that he got into shot a minute ago without me realising. But this is Josh from Rugby World. I'm sure many of you would have read it and subscribed already, but they always do a wicked job with it. So go and make sure you subscribe or pick up a copy of Rugby World. Got loads of Lions related stuff at the moment.
Yep, big Lions previews out now with the wall chart and a separate mini mag. So yeah, big magazine stuff. It's, get to your local WH Smiths and or sign up online. Awesome.
We'll get him more on the channel. I'm going to be dragging in various members of the press pack, I think, for a bit of a chat. But as I've said already, can't see the stadium now, I don't think. It's probably just out of shot. But back tomorrow, Lions against the Western Force.